Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Quick Strikes, where the Tampa Bay Lightning have defeated the Nashville Predators by a final score of 3-0 tonight. Andre Vasilevsky, the first, second, and third star of tonight's game. My name is Mike Wax, joined as always with my co-host Jake Rickard. Jake, an absolutely dominant Vasilevsky performance. How are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, Michael. Play all night. The Lightning, I thought overall played a really good game. Struggled a little bit in that first period, which we'll get into quickly. Don't want to make this video too long on you guys, but good overall game. Good to get a second win going here, a little bit of a streak. Hopefully we can continue that on in these next couple of games. We got some tough opponents coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lineup was a little bit different today. Steven Stamkos, after leaving the previous game with I believe it was a lower body injury. It could well be anything with Stamkos, but we thought Jamel Smith was going to be in the lineup, and then there was something that happened later in the day today, where the Lightning couldn't even call up Smith. So the Lightning had to go with 17 skaters. And to begin the game, which is our only real negative of tonight's uh, recap, that first period was horrendous. Nashville controlled play. There were a bunch of sloppy turnovers from all of the lines. It wasn't just one particular line, like possibly Johnson, Killorn, and Joseph, or Palat Point, and you know, whoever was on their wing, because it seems to be a plethora of different superstars on their wing. It really seemed like Nashville was going to take this game just because they were so dominant after that 1-0 Tampa Bay goal that you almost forget that you have Andre Vasilevsky in between the pipes. And he was the only reason that first period stayed 1-0 with how bad it was.
Or it's funny that you say, that was the worst period, which it was, and the Lightning ended up coming out on top 1-0 in that period. That tells you how good this team is, that they can have a bad period and yet still come out on top 1-0. Andre Vasilevsky was absolutely fantastic. Michael, do you remember in the last recap video when we said Vasilevsky and Hedman had iffy games? Well, they came right back and had one of their best games that they've played in a long time. Vasilevsky, man, sometimes you think, is he even human? That's what it looks like. He makes some amazing saves. I will say this, I know we're talking about the negative here, but the Bolts, contrasting a positive as well, is that they did get a lot better in this game. They let up 18 shots on goal in the first period, I think it was officially, and then second period was only 8 shots on goal, and I don't know what it ended as there in the third period, but also just about 10 shots on goal in that last third period. Yeah, 10 shots on goal. So they did a fantastic job of adjusting and getting back to where they needed to be, which was really good to see.
Yeah, and once again, you have people in the lineup that either normally wouldn't be in the lineup or wouldn't be tasked with so many minutes, like Calfoot and Ben Thomas. Eric Chernak had a fantastic game tonight. He was really the staple of the defense, in my opinion, because you mentioned that Hedman did have a bounce back performance, and he did to a certain extent. He also had 2 penalties, which was very uncharacteristic of Victor Hedman. So take that from that what you will, but Andre Vasilevsky, the biggest positive of the night, let's give him the credit that he deserves, stopping all 36 Nashville shots. He was absolutely unbelievable.
No question about it. And some of the saves he made were just amazing too. So it was just fantastic for him. He definitely deserved the shutout. He definitely deserves another round of beers from all the players in that locker room. Really good to see Vasilevsky right back on track. I mean, if that guy doesn't deserve the Vezina, I don't know who does. I heard also on the Nashville broadcast, they even called him Vesnaleski. That's how good he was and impressed the Nashville broadcasters.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily like that name. It's a little bit clunky, but I mean, if it wasn't true, like if it wasn't true that Andre Vasilevsky has been the best goalie in the NHL this year, I don't know where the Lightning would be without him. We talk about all the time that he masked all of the Lightning's problems, or at least most of the Lightning's problems, and he did it again tonight, especially in that first period where they were getting outshot 18-5 and still managed to come away with a 1-0 lead. Yanni Gord deserves credit. Another multi-point performance, finally getting a goal He had four primary assists against Columbus in their victory over the Blue Jackets. And tonight, he gets an assist on the Ross Colton goal. He gets his own goal on the empty netter. A very solid performance from Gord. That line overall, they struggled after the Ross Colton goal, which every line did. I can't really hold them accountable more than anybody else. But I thought that line played a very solid game, especially at the end when you saw some chippy fireworks between Nashville and Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Yanni Gord was great. I mean, we talked about how good he was in the last game. I mean, that he again, I said this in the last recap. He just has a lot of heart and a lot of dedication, and he works hard and he stays hot. Well deserved in this game. It was a beautiful pass he made to Ross Colton to get that right on his stick in the perfect spot, and Colton was able to make the move, which I'll talk about him in just a second here. But Gore, fantastic, stays hot, and then he got hit pretty hard in the head as well on that. What originally I didn't think was that bad. And then after looking at replays, there was definitely an elbow tuck in there, and then the elbow extended up through the head. That was not a good hit. Got the match penalty, so that will be reviewed by player safety. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with that. Luckily, Gord is okay, and he was definitely not happy about that hit. None of the Lightning players were, but I digress. But yeah, Gord was fantastic in this game, and Ross Colton was also fantastic as well. It was a beautiful movie made. It kind of looked like Nikita Kucherov out there, faking the goalies out and putting the puck in the back of the net. That's his seventh goal in now 15 games. Michael, if Ross Colton started this season, he might be up there and probably past most of these rookies that are playing the NHL right now. He's had a fantastic year, and he is making a name for himself. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Lightning do here come trade deadline on Monday, which is going to be tomorrow by the time you're seeing this video, because honestly, I think they need to free up a roster spot for Ross Colton, or they're going to have to bench either Mitchell Stevens, maybe Matthew Joseph. I really don't know who they'd take out, but Ross Colton is proving that he deserves a spot on that roster. He's just been fantastic.
He's been really, really solid. I love the play of Colton. And one of the questions that I saw Eric Erlinson answer during the game was, is there a chance we see Colton slotted up the lineup? And his answer was no. And I think he had a really, really solid response, which was take advantage of those opportunities. Your fourth line is already better than theirs. Play them more often than you would a normal fourth line, but you don't want to slot Colton up in the lineup where he's tasked with more difficult assignments. I thought that was a very intelligent response by Eric and really making sure that Ross Colton, even though let's not forget he's still a rookie, he might not be defensively sound at the NHL level quite yet. He is scoring when that dissipates because it eventually will. You don't know what's going to happen with Colton. So this is the perfect opportunity for the fourth line to just get a couple extra minutes.
Well, and you know what speaks to that, Michael, as well, is look at Cal Foote. You know, he's been really solid at the NHL level, but as soon as we started dealing with injuries and he had to play top 4 minutes, he's clearly just not ready for that because he's a young rookie and still learning. Who knows how Ross Colton would perform under those top minutes? And you've got really good chemistry with that fourth line, and it's something you don't want to mess up. So I like him on the fourth line, no question about that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Lightning do as our players start to come back here, like Mitchell Stevens. He definitely deserves a rush spot. He's been great. But we have a fan question, Michael, to talk about.
Yes, we do. Connor McMinn with another fan question. Connor, thank you so much, guys. If you would like your questions answered by us after each and every game, respond to us on our Twitter account. We always put one of those little "Do you have any questions?" on the end of our game recap. Connor says, good teams find ways to win certain games. Really happy they got out of this one. But do you think this shutout maybe sparks the team, especially with certain someone named David Savard on the way? Now, I think it does spark the Lightning that they get a shutout against an opponent who, coming into today, was extremely hot. Nashville just grabbing that 4 seed in the Central away from Chicago. They've been playing unreal as of late. I think that when you look at the grand scheme of things, Tampa is a better team than Nashville. So, in terms of the hierarchy of the Central Division, it's not really fair to say, the shutout against Nashville is going to give the boys more of a spark than a shutout against Florida or a shutout against Carolina. But anytime that your team can play a very good last 40 minutes and give your goaltender the accolade that he deserves with this fourth shutout of the season, that's going to increase your team camaraderie. That's going to really bring in a spark for your team.
No question about that. And you know what else gives this team a spark potentially down the road here in the next game against Nashville is that big, little scrum at the end after that hit on Yanni Gore. Players weren't happy about that. You know they're going to remember that. Now, if there's going to be a suspension, I don't know. So they may have been playing in the game, but either way, tensions are going to be high coming in that game. And David Savard, who's a great leader, will also pump up that team and they'll be ready to go when he joins the team. Which, by the way, if you want to hear more about that trade, there'll be a trade video up just a couple hours after this one. I will link it up in the top right corner once that video goes live. So we'll try to break down that trade for you guys and explain what it means. Fantastic trade by the Bolts, so you don't want to miss that video.
Absolutely. Our trade deadline analysis of David Savard as well. We will be hopefully in a situation where we can talk about even more trades in the coming days. I know JBB again said no trades, but he said that originally, and look what happened. So, guys, that's going to do it for us on this edition of Quick Strike. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. Comment down below. Let us know what you thought about this game with the Nashville Predators getting shut out by Andre Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Bay_Bolt. Come hang out with us. Come ask us questions. We love the fan interactions. But for Jake Ricker, I'm Michael Wax. And remember, the Tampa Bay Lightning are still defending Stanley Cup champions.
Go Bolts.